Hello and welcome to A Lonely Critic. My name is Anthony Renteria. This is my first video back from my relaunch, so I'm really excited. I'm going to set a 20-minute timer this time, so I should be a little snappier with my review, hopefully. That's my new goal, is to have them under 20 minutes, and then maybe work my way to under 15 minutes, and then that's probably where I want my videos to kind of be, in the 10 to 15 minute range. Anyways, today we're talking about Dog, directed by Channing Tatum and Reed Carolyn, and written by Reed Carolyn and Brett Rodriguez. I wasn't excited to watch this film or the other option, which was Uncharted, starring like Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. I don't know, it just looked really bad from the trailers. So out of these two, I thought this would be the better pick, and I think I made the right choice because I had a pretty good time with the movie. Just to get into it, let's start out with the cinematography of the film, actually. Normally in these kind of films, whether it's like dog movies or like your generic genre kind of tropey feel-good kind of movie, they never really take any challenges with the visuals or cinematography films that I've seen. Usually if it has a dog, you're not going to get beautiful shots or compositions. Well, this film was kind of an exception. As soon as the movie started, I started seeing like really interesting light work with the lighting in all the scenes, an interesting use of like colors in certain moments and spaces, and that was very interesting. Sharpie. But yeah, so I was like very surprised. And now, and then there was also a scene in the film where you have your like typical lineup where, you know, criminals are being lined up, and then you do the like profiles and stuff. And I was like, man, that looks straight out of The Usual Suspects. Like, it literally looks like you just plucked Channing Tatum into that movie. And then lo and behold, Newton Thomas Sigel was the cinematographer for The Usual Suspects. He like did the cinematography for like most of the OG X-Men movies. And this is like the huge brain melting one, is he did the cinematography for Drive, which is like one of the best shot films of all time in my opinion. Like, it is just absolutely stunning film, which also has a lot of color lighting, so it makes a lot of sense. So visually, this film is just way more beautiful than it had any right being. So if you're a fan of cinematography, I would actually kind of recommend this film, because the way he shoots a lot of the exteriors in the car, and then all the like interesting lighting that I'm talking about, specifically one scene where Channing is in a bathroom, was exquisite and beautiful. So if you're a fan of that, that's really cool. And then it's always hard, at least in I haven't made a lot of stuff, but at least in my opinion, it's really hard to make exteriors look good, because when you're working in an interior, you know, you can just creatively pump light any other way that you think seems fit. But when you're working with exteriors, you're kind of limited by the sun. I don't know, I guess at that point it's just based on compositions and how you're positioning stuff and like the blocking. But anyways, he does a good job. And then I think this might be Channing Tatum's like directorial debut. Yeah, it is. So this is his first time directing with co-director Reed Carolyn, and it's also Reed Carolyn's first time directing, so that's really interesting. So visually, just the whole film just has an interesting palette, interesting visual ideas, and then stunning lighting. The other aspects of the film, I guess I'll get into the main narrative. So like, what is Dog about? So Dog is essentially about this dog who was like a military dog that served a bunch of tours and missions in the Middle East. I think they say like Iraq and Afghanistan. It's like a special ops dog for the Army Rangers, and that is Channing Tatum. He was also a part of a battalion, I guess, of the Army Rangers. So he was a part of the Army Rangers, Channing Tatum, and this dog was like a part of his group, along with the original owner who has passed away. So Channing Tatum is assigned to take this dog to the funeral of the family of the fallen soldier, and that's kind of like the gist of the whole narrative of the film. And then it's obviously kind of like a buddy dog movie where the dog hates him, he hates the dog, and then over the span of this drive, oh, that's the other thing, he has to drive to like, it's like Arizona or New Mexico or something. So over the span of this drive, he will become friends with this dog. It goes to all the places you would imagine it would go to, and then also has like some commentary with like modern times, talking about Portland and like the whole western side of the world. So it does deal with like some of the cancel culture, woke culture kind of stuff that was kind of weird, but I guess it makes sense because, I mean, just me being in the military, that is a major thing. You know, it's like, oh, this is the new Air Force, or this is the new Army. There is a lot of that goes on, and I guess it makes sense, but just because the culture of the military is very, you know, bro-y and stuff, which is cool. I mean, it is what it is. I didn't really care for any of those moments of the film. Not that I found them distasteful or anything, but I could feel a couple audience members like shrugging and like, I don't know. I don't think it had the effect they wanted. So it's just strange choice to make to have it in the film. Like, I don't think it added anything to the narrative of the dog or Channing Tatum, whether or not I agree or disagree with whatever their opinions and takes are. So that's the basic narrative, is this journey that Channing Tatum goes on with this dog, named Dog, and that's kind of like the reason of the title of the film. Oh, that's the other thing, that the beginning of the film is very interesting because how it plays, it says dog, and then you start hearing what you think is a dog, but in reality it's like Channing Tatum huffing and puffing, freaking out. So that was really interesting. And then, so narratively, I think the film is okay. I think that's probably the weakest part of the film, is because it just goes to all the obvious places that I imagined it would go to emotionally and like suspense wise, and then because of all the like side trip woke culture stuff, I don't think any of that really matters. Unless the film is about that kind of stuff, then I don't think it really matters or adds anything substantial to it. I did think it was, you know, it's obviously gonna pull at your heartstrings because it's a dog, and dogs are cute and they're amazing, and dogs love being loved, and it's hard to not love a dog. So like that is definitely playing with like already like a pretty weak bone. I don't know, I kind of wish it would have pushed more into it, and there was like hints at it towards the end. I mean, it's like, oh, it's almost like a surface level kind of thing, where about, you know, dealing with PTSD, dealing with trauma, whether that's physical, mental, or emotional, from serving time in the military or from tours. Like that stuff is really interesting, and I think that's an interesting thing to look into and to develop a story around. And then having a dog be kind of the metaphorical opposite or comparison of the main character, I think that's really interesting and was the best part of the film. But it's just all the side stuff, you know, didn't really add up to anything. So moving on from the narrative, the performances I think are pretty good. We can start with the dog. Has a phenomenal performance, delivering A-class work as a dog. Cute puppy eyes, sad puppy eyes, angry I'm gonna kill you eyes. The whole spectrum of dog performances this dog does, and it was all great and it looked believable. And I didn't notice like any like hardcore like CGI or anything like that. Sometimes with a lot of like more recent dog movies, you see a lot of like CGI when they're doing like crazy stunts and stuff, but there is no real crazy stunts in this film, so maybe that's why I did not see that, which is awesome. That's good. No CGI dog. They look horrible. Other than that, Channing Tatum, I guess what are my opinions on Channing Tatum? I like Channing Tatum. I think he is a good performer. I like his charisma, and I guess either you're a fan of Channing Tatum's just natural charisma or you're not, so that'll be a big blow to this movie if you just don't like seeing Channing Tatum, or you don't like what he usually does humor-wise or just performance-wise. Because if you're not a fan of what his like, you know, comedy work, then I don't think you'll like this. I liked his charisma in the film. I thought he was a good element of the film. I think he really drove a lot of the moments that he had to drive home. He did it successfully. Specifically, there's some like emotional parts that I think he handled really well, and that's something that I really believe in Channing Tatum, is that if he really wanted to pick the right roles, you know, he could be, you know, with he could be like Oscar nominated left and right if he really wanted to pursue that side of acting. I think about like The Foxcatcher is one film, and I think he was just the best part of that movie. And I mean, you had Steve Carell just delivering an insane performance in that film. But Channing Tatum, I think he has the ability to really go far in serious acting if he wanted to. I've always been curious why maybe some actors don't choose to do like serious work. Maybe it's just exhausting, but nonetheless, I think his emotional stuff in this film was the best aspect of it. He has a moment where something happens in a bathroom that I won't spoil because these are all non-spoilers, so don't worry about spoilers. Something happens in a bathroom, and his physical performance that he gives in that scene is really spectacular, and it's awesome. I think he does a good job. I think the weakest part of this film was definitely the narrative and like where the film kind of ends and goes to. I think it could have gone and pushed a little further into the like veteran aspect of it and into that emotional choice that they are having. I think they could have gone really artsy with it, and I don't know if it was maybe the writing or just the general like style of film. They wanted like a happy, you know, good time kind of film, but I think you could have pushed this pretty far, and that's the kind of movie I would want to watch. So, but as it is, I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it is an all right movie, so it was better than average, that's for sure. But yeah, that's kind of it. So I think it was a pretty fun movie. If you're a fan of dog movies, like if you really have a soft spot for dog movies, I think you might have a good time. And if you're a fan of Channing Tatum, I think you'll have a good time. And then if you're a fan of Channing Tatum and dog movies, then you're gonna have a great time. But as it is, I think it is an all right movie. So my score score that I'm going to give it right here, right now, my immediate reaction score, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. But I do think narratively it drops the ball a couple times, and I think it could have focused more on being about Channing Tatum and his dog. Like, it could have been more about that stuff. And I think film is about that stuff, but it's just missing that extra layer of depth. I just wish it would have dug one notch lower into some deep territory. But maybe that's just me wanting a more emotional film. Like, it's obviously a feel-good film, so I don't know if you can go that deep and then still have a feel-good film at the end of it, but it is what it is. So 6 out of 10 is my rating on this film. So if you like those things, go check it out. If not, it's okay. I think this review is going to be coming out later than I used to post my reviews. I used to post my reviews the Sunday of release, but now I'm moving to a following Sunday release. So this will probably hit the internet a week after it's released, so kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that will wrap up my review. I'm actually getting out of here pretty quick at 16 minutes, so that's pretty exciting. There wasn't that much to talk about the film because it was exactly what you think it would be, so it's like, I can't really talk about any like themes or ideas that go too deep. And then since it didn't really dig into the themes that deeply, that will wrap up my review. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you could subscribe and give me a like, that helps the algorithm. And then if you have any comments on this film, please leave them below. I would love to have a discussion about it. Let me know what you thought about the dog. Let me know what you thought about the movie. Let me know what you think about Channing Tatum. Let me know if you even watched it. Let me know if you're never gonna watch it. Let me know all those things below and we can have a fun discussion about it. I will see you next week with the new movie. I don't know what movie yet. And then keep an eye out because I have a lot of stuff coming that isn't out yet. I'm launching a couple more channels because I'm a maniac. And then I should be having a film club and a book club announcement coming soon. Thank you so much for watching and have a good night, and I'll see you next week.